To the left of me, a man who helped Conway Twitty write the song Hello, Darling.
Hello there, Dr. Ian Clark. Hello, everyone.
And a man to the right of me who wrote a book on how urinating in the shower is very eco-friendly.
George Costanza. No, Stephen Wheeler.
Well, here it is. We are, just hours away from the new year. We are December 31st. It's roughly around, 2 o'clock in the afternoon?
Yep, we're just hours away from
hours away.
2023.
And actually, to make it, we're about, 8.5? Yeah, about 8, less than 8 hours away. And I hope everyone enjoyed their 2022. We finally got back into full swing when things reopened in roughly February, March of this year. And,
that's right.
And here we are at the Ferris wheel. Or not the Ferris wheel, sorry. We're Serious Rock Talk. That's the past.
That's another thing we lost in 2022. Good for you.
We lost the Ferris wheel. We decided to move forward, and from now on, until eternity, it will be Serious Rock Talk moving forward. So you could even go SeriousRockTalk.com, and it will bring you to SeriousRockTalk.com.
Eternity and beyond.
Eternity and beyond. So here we are. So yes, that's positive news for all our listeners that we are moving forward, and 2023 is going to be a banner year. I'm looking forward to it. And for those of you tuning in, thank you for just listening to the Lou Reed show that we just had on December 30th for the Velvet Underground, courtesy of Dr. Ian Clark.
Thank you.
Hope you found it all informative, which a lot of us did. And without further ado, it is time for Dr. Clark to talk about the 30th anniversary of Freddie Mercury tribute.
Well, yeah, to lead this off, we're summing up 2022, all the good, the bad, and certainly mostly the ugly. And I'm going to talk a bit, just briefly, maybe 20 seconds, 21 seconds, no, about the 30th anniversary of Freddie Mercury tribute. Like, as if the original, okay. Anyway, I'm not going to, after the tragic death of Queen's iconic frontman Freddie Mercury on November 24th, 1991, at the age of 45, his bandmates wanted to commemorate his unique talent. Okay, so that's okay. You can understand that, right? He died of AIDS, so Brian May, Roger Taylor, John Deacon got together, and they honored Freddie at the Mercury Theater in 1992, April, and a bunch of people showed up. It was at Wembley Stadium, sorry. And now, as the 30th anniversary approaches, they're having a YouTube mini-series, and it's been unveiled as a tribute, run-up to the tribute gig, they call it. And it's going to be streamed. And I just think, first of all, if you're like me, and God help you if you are, but if you're like me, I've had enough of Queen. I just think I was there when they were, cock of the walk, and I just think it's over and done. I don't mind groups, getting like Live Aid, making stuff for charity, doing stuff for charity. But I'm just so queened out at this point that when I saw this, tribute to a tribute. Okay, it's once removed. I've just had enough, and I hope it's the last time they try to do it. Freddie Mercury was a great artist. I'm glad there's a tribute, but they've just got to shut it down. John Deacon's not even involved in anything. He ran scared into the forest years ago. You can't get him out, because I think he sensed where it was going. Kind of like what Ray Manzarek did with the Doors. Enough is enough. Let them rest, right? So for me, it's over.
It's over?
It's over.
I agree. I think time has passed. He's been honored.
Let it go.
You're in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Your music is legendary. No one will duplicate it. And it's going to be on for years and years and years.
Plus, the biopic, I think, is now the reference for
really good
biopics.
point. Good point.
It is. And moving on to another tribute. Recently, obviously, this year, Taylor Hawkins passed away. Obviously, myself being one of those drummers in learning, and he is one of my inspirations. It was very sad. And sad because he was so young, still had a lot of life left.
Who was he, in his 50s? Or?
He exactly turned 50. 50 years of age. And you know what? He had a lot of life left, and the band would have still continued onwards, I believe, with him. I don't know what they're going to do next. But, hey, if it means that, they'll have Chad Smith and the Chili Peppers fill in a couple of tours just to kind of get the music out there, I'm okay with that. But they had some tribute concerts for him, 2 of them, actually. One was September 3rd in London, and the other one was September 27th in Los Angeles. So Dave, Nate, Chris, Pat, and Rami, they all came together with the Hawkins family to celebrate the life, music, and love of the husband, father, brother, and bandmate with the Taylor Hawkins tribute concerts. As one of the most respected and beloved figures in modern music, Taylor's monolithic talent and magnetic personality endeared him to millions of fans, peers, friends, and fellow musical legends the world over. Millions mourned, ultimately, his passing on March 25th, with passionate and sincere tributes coming from fans as well as musicians Taylor idolized. The Taylor Hawkins tribute concerts had several artists in there that the Foo Fighters are friends with, people that Taylor had looked up to. It included people basically like Miley Cyrus, Liam Gallagher, Joan Jett, Mark Ronson, members of Queen, The Police, Rush, Kiss, The Pretenders, Motley Crue, Queens of the Stone Age, Rage Against the Machine, The Chili Peppers, Supergrass, and the comedian Dave Chappelle, who actually shared a personal story of how he, knew Taylor and had, wonderful conversations with him. The London concert had the Gallagher brother, I think the best one, which would be Liam. They also had Joan Jett, Chrissy Hyde, and Supergrass alongside with Chappelle. And then the Inglewood concert had Miley Cyrus, your good old buddy Gene Simmons, Ian.
Good, I'm glad he's there.
Yeah.
We had to pay him, though, $17,000
Alanis Morissette, Nikki Sixx.
to sing Beth one more time.
It actually is a Peter Criss song, but no.
Are you sure?
Yes, 100%.
He claims he wrote it.
Yeah, but it's a Peter Criss that performed it.
Oh. So he has to pay Peter Criss royalties.
I guess.
Nice.
And Luke Spiller. And then both concerts will feature Stuart Copeland, Geddy Lee, Brian May, Mark Ronson, Roger Taylor, Chris Chaney, Wolfgang, Alex Lifeson, and the Taylor Hawkins cover band called Chevy Metal with the surviving members of Foo Fighters. So, needless to say, this concert, or these two tribute concerts, were a success, but it is a success that they were able to honor someone in a proper way.
Yeah, and hopefully that's the end of it. They don't do a Queen.
No, I can't see. No, I can't see them doing that.
Yeah.
But it was sad. He passed away.
He's young.
But it tells you something about the guy when people from literally the entire spectrum of music, like from pop to metal, honored this guy, which it goes to show that he was not only a brilliant musician, but a great guy.
Yeah, good point.
He was just a lovable character.
Yeah, lovable
how
guy.
we did a show that some band members are probably bigger than the lead singer.
Yeah.
Probably the Foo, I'd say, it's a close tie.
Yeah, close tie.
Close tie.
No, good. No, it's good.
So
Nicely done.
Now, so leading on to the sad passing and tributes, it is time for the dearly departed.
So 2022 has been a sad year across the board if you're a music lover, and we're going to go chronologically. The year started off rather badly on the 6th of January when Calvin Simon died. For those of you who don't know him, he's the co-founder of Parliament Funkadelic.
Okay.
He's basically an innovator. There's kind of some rock in there, but it's mostly funk, R&B, and acid rock. Mm-hmm. And they were, giants in the 70s.
With Brain Mega, it's one of the. I was talking to a guy. They own a record store recently, and he said it's the most consistently asked for LP.
Really?
He said, especially for the under 25 crowd.
The Funkadelic one?
Yeah, he said it beats everything.
That's interesting.
And
Beats Abbey Road?
Beats everything. I said, Taylor Swift? He threw me out. But no, that was it.
Oh, so that's the boot mark on your behind. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, I know.
Then a few days later, we lost Fred Paris. He was the songwriter for In the Still of the Night.
Oh, he must have been
85.
He's going to say elderly.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, you were.
He was...
Great song, though.
It was, yeah.
Still of the night.
The guy was really big from the late 50s to the early 60s. He's one of those great voices that basically disappeared after the British invasion.
I know, the Beatles knocked him off, but oh well.
And he actually, his band, which was the Five Satins, got into the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 2003. So
A little late.
I think he was one of the last.
He's going to say a little late.
Then, in a few days later, again, we lost one of the last links to the major event of the 60s. Michael Lang died. He was the organizer and co-creator of Woodstock.
Yeah, that's special note. No Michael Lang, no Woodstock. And Woodstock is the go-to example of a successful outdoor music festival for rock. It is the grill in the room, as Michael Lang once said, that you can't avoid.
Exactly.
It's like talking about electric guitars and not mentioning Jimi Hendrix. That doesn't really work.
That being said, for those of you who are Netflix viewers, he was also responsible for the 25th anniversary event in 1994, but the really ill-fated 30th anniversary of Woodstock in '99, which was it was this year, right? The Woodstock,
Yeah, and he's also responsible for the failure of Woodstock, the 50th anniversary not happening. He got into a lot of problems with the sponsors and canceled it.
Well, a lot of financial difficulties, I think.
Well, Mike Lang was he's a promoter. I know there's hippy-dippy vibe because of the movie, but you wouldn't mess around with that guy. Yeah. He was good at he's a promoter, and it's about money.
Exactly. Next one, Ronnie Spector left us again in January.
Again, where'd she go the first time?
Okay. Well, she's probably almost killed by Phil. Who knows?
Oh, that's okay. Sorry.
I
Left us again. Where did she go?
I'm just helping you out.
She was originally known as the bad girl of rock and roll.
Yeah, she was great, man.
That was from the Ronettes?
Yeah.
Died at the age of 78.
That's still young.
And really? so those of you,
good enough.
Sometimes you hear a name, you can't place it. So "Be My Baby," "Baby I Love You," and "Walking in the Rain" are the major songs that got her into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2007.
She was great.
Then one of Ian's favorite, how to put this, targets to show the idiocy of certain rock stars, Meatloaf. Marvin Lee a day.
Wait a second. I do. He was great in Rocky Horror, and his first album is great. And
exactly.
Then, Bad at Hell.
Yeah, and then the poor guy after that, he just lost his way. But with the first album, it almost like Fleetwood Mac's Rumors. Everybody had Bad Out of Hell.
I don't think Ian hated.
No. He uses him as a good example of like how things can
maybe what not to do and he was a good actor. What not to do.
Numerous credits I have here. Fight Club, so that's the most iconic one.
Yeah, he was good in that.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Yeah, he's good in that too.
Tenacious D and the Pick of Destiny, Wayne's World, and even Spice World, the movie.
Oh, wow.
Then we lost Don Wilson.
Yeah.
So for those of you who are fans of surf rock, he was in the Ventures. Yeah. Again, a guy who had a really good life, age 88 when he left us. Then we lost John Zazula.
Who's that?
Well, exactly.
Who is that?
He's one of those people who everybody should know, but unfortunately nobody knew. He was a co-founder of Metallica's first label, Megaforce, who's responsible for not only Metallica, but basically for pushing heavy metal from air metal in the 80s to the more of a thrash metal. So the revival of metal was in great part due to John Zazula, but unfortunately he didn't make that much money out of it. And most of these bands were frankly ungrateful. So he's one of those people who unfortunately will remain in the shadows. Betty Davis then left us in February. So those of you who don't know Betty Davis, she was a funk singer who was really big in the 70s. She was actually Miles Davis' wife.
Was this the one Kim Carnes wrote about? She had Betty Davis eyes?
No.
That's the actress.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah.
Well, tell them to start choosing different names.
Yeah. Well, no, but in this case, she used the Davis because of Miles Davis.
She could put up with Miles Davis. She deserves to keep his last name.
Not only did she put
hell.
up with him, she put him with him during In a Silent Way and Bitches Brew, which is not necessarily the easiest point. In his plus, I mean, she was a woman who controlled everything in the 70s, which was not a given.
Yeah, right.
She controlled everything from the image to the vocals. Unfortunately, she made a lot of enemies, including Eric Clapton. which frankly in the end played against her, which explains why after the 80s she disappeared a little off the map.
It's not hard to make enemies at Eric
No,
Clapton.
Like I did.
Yeah, I know. I think you did too. He actually tweeted at me and wanted me to give you a message.
Yeah, what was the message?
This.
Wow, that you blew him a kiss? You're kidding.
Exactly.
All
It was
right.
a hand gesture, waving hello.
the honored finger.
Yes.
Then we lost Ian McDonald, who was a multi-instrumentalist who co-founded King Crimson and Foreigner, who unfortunately died of cancer
Those are
in
two
February.
good bands.
Yeah.
We lost him at the age of 75. The guy was insanely talented. He performed on saxophone, flute, clarinet, bass clarinet, mellotron, harpsichord, piano, organ, vibraphone, and backing vocals.
All at the same time.
All at the same time.
Drunk.
Then we lost one of the main grunge guys. Well, not main grunge guys, but one of the people we really are in debt if we love grunge. It's Mac Lanigan, who was in Screaming Trees and Queen of the Stone Age.
Oh, sure. Huge bands.
Yeah, two good bands.
And we lost him, unfortunately, at age 57. But he was part of the Pacific Northwest rock scene, a big fan of Nirvana in the early days. He was also a big promoter of Soundgarden, Pearl Jam. These guys were actually really good buddies. Then we lost Gary Broker, the Procol
Gary
Harum
Brooker,
singer.
yeah. He was a
Procol Harum.
Procol Harum.
Died at 76. So considering the life he had, that's actually quite
That's
surprising.
pretty good.
He was an angry man, eh?
Well, but he was a partier too.
Yeah.
But he could. That guy. Anyway, let it go.
So, as my colleague said, we lost Taylor Hawkins on the 25th of March.
Yeah, that one still hurts. I'll be honest. It kind of reminds me of whenever Charlie Watts passed away. Ian, you and I had this conversation. He said this one hurts.
Yeah, that one
Because
hurt.
it's someone you grew up to.
Yeah,
And
I
now-
was always like the Queen almost. She's always around.
Yeah.
Charlie Watts was always around.
Yeah,
So
Taylor Hawkins was always around, and now he's not. And yeah, that one hurts for me in particular. It's a huge inspiration of why I learned why I took up the drums.
And that, speaking of drummers, I'm skipping a few names, mostly because we want to keep this show under a few marathon hours. Then we lost Rick Parnell. So Rick Parnell is not necessarily a name that will be familiar to most of you, but he's best known for playing the Doom drummer Mike Shrimpton in This Is Spinal Tap.
Okay, he was in it for like 10 minutes of
Kinda,
time till he blew
What was the
up.
name you skipped, by the way? Just say them.
Okay, I skipped Heart Rupee, Restyle, and Randy Rand.
Okay, well they were. You had to honor them at least. So.
No, true.
Go on.
But I just didn't want to.
Sure.
Okay, so then we go to Ricky Gardner, who was a Scottish guitarist. So I chose this in honor of Dr. Clark's ancestors.
Thank you.
And also for
Well, that guy named Ian McDonald, I think he might be Scottish. He says some Scottish heritage with Ian McDonald. Either that or Romanian.
So this guy was better known for his work with David Bowie and Iggy Pop. So he was really big in the 70s.
Yeah.
So this is the heroin. Major drug era of Bowie. So late 70s, and Iggy Pop, he was on the Lust for Life album. So
Actually, good album.
good album.
Great album, actually.
Then, for those of you who are not only fans of rock, but also of soundtracks, we lost Vangelis in May. I'm not even going to try to say his full Greek name.
No.
But so if you know Chariot of Fire, Blade Runner, like all these great movies from the 80s and early 90s, you probably heard a Vangelis tune or two in your time.
He was great.
He was great. And actually, I was surprised he got to the age he got because he was huge in every sense of the
big
word.
guy?
He was a big guy.
Okay.
Then we lost Alan White in May.
yeah.
He was the drummer from actually, it's a bad year for drummers when you think about it.
Yeah, well, you got 3 so far on the list.
Yeah,
Okay.
but really good ones. Then we lost Andy Fletcher. So Andy Fletcher died at age of 60. He was the Depeche Mode keyboardist and
didn't
founding
know that.
member.
I remember that one there. that's
That's a little young. Okay, whatever. All right.
Released 14 albums by Depeche Mode, which
Yeah.
frankly I didn't know they had that many in them.
They were. I didn't know. I read that.
I don't mind
remember
Depeche Mode. I think
I don't, but
what's his name? They're the guy there, the singer, David.
yeah,
David
no.
Garrett. No. Oh, whatever.
It'll come back to us.
I like him.
Then, unfortunately, in May, we also lost Ronnie Hawkins.
The Hawk.
The
Well,
Hawk.
Taylor Hawkins' father, right?
No, but he was the one that dated Beverly D'Angelo.
Oh, don't even.
And
Don't. The mental pictures too agonizing.
Poor Ronnie Hawkins. Yeah. Would you consider him country? What was he?
He was rockabilly
All right.
because he stood out in Canada but didn't in the States, and he owned a bar, the Hawk's Nest. Oh, and
Well, you know what? It's too bad.
And he's on the
dated
Canadian
who?
Walk of Fame in Toronto.
He dated Beverly D'Angelo. And he's from Peterborough.
And he's on a Canada Walk of Fame in Toronto since 2002.
I think he got Order of Canada. You can't. Never mind, ladies and gentlemen.
And he's going on the $10 bill.
We'll explain Canada to you someday. Not in this. Not right now.
No, not now.
Then we lost drummer Steve Rodden. Not a big name, so I'm going to skip ahead. But he was on Tubular Bells.
Okay,
basically.
talented guy.
Then we lost Ken Kelly, who was a fantasy artist who created basically the album covers that everybody knows of Kiss and Rainbow. He died age 76. So he made Kiss Destroyer, Love Gun. He did Rising for Rainbow. He did Ace Frehley's Space Invader, and a multiple sleeve for Manowar, including the Destroyer, which was basically a parody of Fighting the World. So he was one of these guys
Sure.
who just had like the 70s vibe about him. Then we lost Alec John Such,
John Bon Jovi's.
original bassist.
Yeah.
Again, a guy who we lost relatively young. He was just 70s. In his 70s, sorry. He got induced into Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as a member of Bon Jovi in 2018. And he actually went to the ceremony, unlike a lot of these guys.
I'd go. If I'm not even invited, I'd still go.
I'd crash the party, sure.
Then we lost Jim Seal from Seals and Croft, but
Yeah.
it's soft rock, so we're going to skip. Brett Truggle, who played keyboard with Fleetwood Mac and David Lee Roth, passed away again at a relatively young age of 70 after a horrible battle with cancer. That being said, the guy had an interesting resume. Keyboardist for Steppenwolf. He played with Rick Springfield and David Lee Roth. So, rather interesting spectrum.
Yeah, big spectrum.
Then we lost Manny Charlton, who died at age 80. He was the founding member of Nazareth and their main guitarist for a long time.
Oh, wow. 80. I had no idea he was that old.
Then we lost another link to the origins of rock and roll when we lost Jerry Allison,
Yeah,
In
the
August.
Crickets, right?
the drummer from the Crickets. Yeah,
Yeah,
Another
again,
drummer.
he couldn't have been really young.
I told you it's a really bad year
Who
for
was he in his
drummers.
80s?
Yeah, he was 82.
Otherwise, Buddy Holly would only be about 82, right? That's just bizarre. That's how long he's been gone.
Then I'm gonna go out of our usual field. Coolio, we lost in September.
Yeah, I love Coolio. Come on, y'all, take a ride. Fantastic Voyage. No, you guys don't know that? Yeah, well, you.
He
No
was
bid.
59. It was just no
Yeah.
Fantastic Voyage. He's the lead singer. He rose to number 3, I think, with that one on the Billboard charts. Then this one really hurt us. Those of us who are big fans of the 50s. Jerry Lee Lewis
Yeah.
died. I unfortunately lost his age. I think it was 89 or something.
Yeah, something like 88. He was the last. I can't think of another guy from that era that's still alive. He was. They used to call him Last Man Standing.
Exactly. yeah.
Elvis, Carl Perkins, they're all gone. He was the last guy, and he should have gone much earlier. He was a tough little guy.
Which is funny because you would have thought he would be the first one.
Oh,
to go.
he had half his stomach removed, half his liver out. The whole guy. He was all this trouble in his life: heavy drinking, drugs, marriages, violence.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
incredible.
And then we
Beautiful.
also lost Keith Levine, who was a guitarist who co-founded The Clash in '76.
Yeah, that's right.
So we're starting to lose the guys from the 70s.
I know.
Like we are now out of the guys from the 50s,
60s.
60s, and now we're getting the 70s. That's really sad. Then we lost Wilco Johnson, who was the co-founder of the legendary Dr. Feelgood. And then the last two, thankfully it slowed down in October, November. But we still lost Kristen McVie. So we lost her age 79 on the 30th of November 2022. I think it was 2 months after she had announced she would not be touring with the band because of health issues.
Okay.
So, I mean, she wrote, co-wrote, or performed on some of the biggest songs from Fleetwood Mac, so Don't Stop Everywhere, Little Lies, and the stunningly beautiful Songbird. And finally, for our Canadian fans out there, we just lost a few days ago the Canadian folk legend turned cowboy storyteller, which is a roundabout way of saying he lost his voice towards the end. Ian Tyson, who was better known for Four Strong Winds, with Ian and Sylvia, his wife of 5 or 10 years at that point.
At least, yeah. They were a great duo in the 60s, kind of coffee bar folk.
And so he passed away at age 89.
There you go. Gone for not forgotten. Thank you. Great list. It's a great list. I love morbidity like that.
Well, on a brighter note, albums that turned 50 this year.
Yeah.
Ian, I think you probably have a few of these in your repertoire.
War.
The World is a Ghetto.
I bought it when it came out, and a great album.
All right. Chicago 5.
I don't have that.
Me
and
neither.
I'm not missing it.
Humble Pie, Smokin'.
Yeah, Pete Frampton.
Deep Purple, Machine Head.
Hey, it's a desert island. Yeah.
That's a great album. John Lennon and Yoko Ono, Sometime in New York City.
I don't think it's a strong album, but anyway, it's live.
It has a few good tunes.
It has a few good tunes.
Yeah, I guess.
This one here, Van Morrison, St. Dominic's Preview.
Yeah, it's typical Van the Man stuff from that period.
Funkadelic, America Eats Its Young.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to let it go.
Jethro Tull, Thick as a Brick.
I know guys that love that album better than Aqualung.
Manassas.
Is that a recipe?
Manassas. It's Bill Wyman, who played bass and co-wrote The Love Gangster for this album.
Somehow I can't follow that.
Roxy Music, self-titled Roxy Music.
Great album.
T-Rex, The Slider.
Yeah, good album.
Rod Stewart, Never a Dull Moment.
Really good album, actually. Even Ron Wood.
Good description of what's on it, too.
Yeah, there's interesting stuff on it.
This one here
True
has...
Blue and great songs on that.
Never a Dull Moment rocks a bit harder than the preceding Every Picture Tells a Story.
Yeah.
Taking the reins from the busy Stewart. Nick Drake, Pink Moon.
It's a classic. Everybody knows it.
Everybody should have it.
Harry Nilsson, Son of Schmielsen.
It's an interesting album. Not his best, but it's an interesting. Hey, it's Harry Nilsson.
Alice Cooper, School's Out.
It was good.
Wasn't that the one with the panties?
I have no
I
idea.
don't know what you're talking about, man. You're freaking me out, man.
There's one Alice Cooper in the 70s that it came with a paper panties in the
probably.
sleeve. I think that's the one. I'm not sure.
And this is why you look at the Sears catalog. Okay. Lou Reed, Transformer, Ian. I'm almost positive you have this album.
I think it's a great album.
Mott the Hoople, All the Young Dudes.
I like it.
David Bowie had a lot of influence on this album.
Sure did.
Here.
He saved their career.
Yep. Yes, Close to the Edge.
Really good album.
Yeah, classic.
Eagles. Take it easy. Witchy Woman and Peaceful Easy Feel. I love those three songs.
Yeah, they're great.
So it's basically half of the greatest hits album right there.
Randy Newman, Sail Away. I think
He's good. He's a major writer for movies now.
I'm thinking of Walking on Memphis. Is that him?
No bad. His is
Toy Story.
No One Likes Short People. You know the hit song?
Oh, I think of another Randy. Never mind. Black Sabbath Volume 4.
Really, one of the last good ones of the original Sabbath.
Was it?
It's the first album without producer Roger Bain. Elton John, Honky Chateau.
Yeah, when he was still really, really good.
Paul Simon.
Great album.
Todd Rundgren, Something, Anything.
It's a double album. It's self-indulgent, but it is good.
In your band, Steely Dan, Can't Buy a Thrill.
Yeah, great album. Great band.
All right, and the final three albums. So number 3, Neil Young's Harvest.
Great album.
Best one.
Pretty well.
Number 2, David Bowie, The Rise and Fall of Ziggy Stardust and the Spiders from Mars.
I think it's his best. Other people go hunky-dory, but hey.
And then the best Stones album, not Dirty Work, but the Rolling Stones Exile on Main Street.
Yeah.
Actually, I have those 3 albums, but just not on record.
And now I'm going to tune into my buddy Ian here, who's going to talk about Randy Bachman's lost guitar that resurfaces as news again.
I'm going to take care of business every day. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, those are our friends of the South, put it that way, our American friends, don't know. There's a national broadcast here called CBC. I'm joking. No, Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. And
Which is basically your NPR.
Yeah, really. When they get hold of a story, it's like jaws of death. They won't let it go. And for some reason, on their wire service, they picked up a story about Randy Bachman finding his guitar decades after it was stolen. Canadian rock legend Randy Bachman says he's finally found the rare guitar used to write hits like American Woman and Taking Care of Business after an internet sleuth tracked it down in Japan. That is mildly interesting. You might 35 to 45 seconds on that. Who cares? But this went on for weeks and weeks, and finally he was reunited with it. And you would think, my God, he found his lost son. But it was just this dopey guitar he found, right? And there was nothing to the story. And it just made me think, you know what I mean? This Canadian content thing sometimes just drives you nuts. It's not like a Jimi Hendrix, Woodstock guitar. This is, so what?
Do you have the guitar, Ian?
Pardon me?
Do you have the guitar?
Yeah, really. It's in my basement. Like the cat uses it for something.
Cat scratch fever. All right, so moving on along here. Ian, concert and tours are in full swing.
This is the way you tell which bands really need money. Because there's no way some of these guys should even be out of their wheelchair, nonetheless touring. But they are. So what kind of tours, or as they say in the East Coast, tours did we have on 2022? Well, we had Motley Crue. We had Def Leppard, Poison, Joan Jett, Taylor Hawkins tribute concerts, that's plural, Roger Waters, Eagles were out, Doobie Brothers, Robert Plant and Alison Krauss, Joni Mitchell, that wasn't really a tour, but I'll let that go. Genesis, Paul McCartney, stop. Aerosmith, stop. 9 Inch Nails, why? Jack White, nice haircut. Rage Against Martin Sheen, Pearl Jam, Roxy Music, ZZ Top, Elvis Costello, stop. Scorpions, why? Jane's Addiction and Smashing Pumpkins. They were all out touring in 2022, and may the force be with them.
Well, I got news for you, Ian.
Yeah?
April Wine is touring.
You shut your
They
face.
just announced, Miles Goodwin said that he's not going to. They got someone. They just it just came up this past week that April Wine is going to be touring again.
Shut your filthy pie hole.
I'm telling you the truth. They're going to be touring. Yeah, April Wine is touring, and just so you know, for 2023, Motley Crue and Def Leppard are going back out.
Oh, wonderful. Boy, I'm cheered up. I mean,
About what, April Wine or Motley Crue?
about all of them.
Because the only original one is still Miles Goodwin, and he's actually not even going to be doing the tour.
Yeah, but he has a registered nurse with him on the stage.
He's not even that old.
I know. The listeners of the show will know I have some bizarre antipathy toward April Wine and the Boys of Summer. You get 2 hits in Canada, you end up touring these little tiny towns with a tent.
Bailey Borough?
Yeah, Bailey Borough. It's just so sad. But anyway, that's the gig. They make a living at it.
All right, and next we got my buddy Wheels that wants to rant
Yes, sir.
about box sets.
Yes.
Really? What's your problem?
Yeah, well, yeah. Please do share, kind sir.
So, box sets, when you have CDs, are actually not a bad idea. They're actually right now responsible for most of the CD sales. So,
Okay.
if you're buying CDs now, it is the right time to do that because you can actually buy the entire catalog of a musician in one box.
I did. I bought Jefferson Airplane.
For probably,
think it's
30 or 40 bucks?
Yeah, it was really cheap. It
Yeah.
was used in quotes and from Compact Music here in beautiful Ottawa. And it sounds great, but it's overkill.
Well, exactly.
I'll be dead before I can get through it. There's no possible way.
Is it a lot?
I think it's 6 or 7 CDs.
Okay.
It takes forever.
But so if you apply this to vinyl records, first of all, vinyl records don't contain as much music, so you have a lot more of a physical object, which makes it a lot more heavy, which probably means that your coax box, or whatever you put your records in, is going to bend, not too in the not too distant future. But the main beef I have with box sets is their price. They are insanely expensive when you're buying them on vinyl. I think the cheapest of these box sets I've seen was $200, and they go up from there.
Yeah.
And the main culprit, I think, is Kiss. But it's a huge box set. The cheapest I've seen it was $280.
Well, that's insane. That's just total madness.
And there's basically 2 new songs on there. So I think this is for the Kiss addicts that are completists, that really want those 2 songs they've never heard. And also they've put in a Blu-ray disc in there with I think it's a 5.1 mix or something that they've never released before. But again, you have to pay the premium price.
Yeah.
People will.
And people will, and that's the sad part of this, that record companies are doing the exact same thing that killed vinyl records in the first place in the late 80s, early 90s. They're trying to get you to pay through the nose for stuff that you already have, and they're betting on the nostalgia factor, and they're really, again, killing the goose that laid the golden egg once again. And so 2023, my advice to most of our listeners, just buy the ones you really want. Don't try to complete. And if
I
buy
agree.
them on CDs if you can.
You
'cause they're
can find the
usually-
individual CDs, and if there's 2 songs, new songs, you'll find them on Spotify
or something.
For
Yeah.
God's sakes, don't spend $280 to bank of Gene Simmons.
Speaking of Gene Simmons,
Yes. You're up next, Ian, regarding Kiss saying goodbye with 3 question marks. Or 4, actually.
Kiss me goodbye. Again, avid listeners of the show know my feeling about the so-called band Kiss, which I think is a novelty act of some kind. And their longevity, they just keep going. Again, like Dracula or something. Now, they're currently in something they call the End of the Road World Tour. And it began in January 31, 2019 at the Rogers Arena in beautiful Vancouver, Canada, and just won't stop. You can do anything and will not. Throw garlic at it, put a stake in its heart. He will not stop. He plans to stop in 2023 in New York City or whenever Gene Simmons figures out a way to make even more money. So I don't know what to do about this band. I've known guys that are in the so-called Kiss Army. I don't get it, but they're still going. He's complaining that his, I almost said equipment, his costume is too heavy. That's one of the beefs. That's why he wants to stop touring. He's 30 or 40 pounds of junk he has to wear. Now, that said, he's done other stuff too. So like a Frank Sinatra thing. Maybe they'll be back. Maybe they'll just do one-offs on, I don't know, live streams. You haven't seen the last of Gene Simmons.
So leading into that is Vegas residency, and they're in full swing now that things have reopened. And I was just there this past August, and I'll go back again October 2023. I'm going to be going. And who is going to be performing in Vegas and I have the opportunity of possibly seeing? Well, Santana's booked for 23 shows. Donny Osmond's got 78 booked.
Oh, is he with Marie? I guess that's over.
Wayne Newton's got 89, Ian.
I think he's dead, but it doesn't matter. They'll bring him out.
John Fogerty's got 6. The Jonas Brothers have 3.
Ooh.
Barry Manilow's got 69 of them.
He's been dead for years.
Billy Idol's got 3.
Okay.
Aerosmith, which I actually hope I get to see them with my good buddy Dave from Hamilton.
Oh, Dave from Hamilton, yes.
8. They're going to be there for 8 times. Miranda Lambert's got 16 booked.
That's the point.
Luke Bryan's got 18.
That makes sense.
ZZ Top's got 5.
Well, ZZ topless now, but okay.
The King of Arena Rock, Bryan Adams, has got 6.
Oh, there he goes.
Styx has got 5.
Stop.
Katy Perry's got 14.
Stop.
Chicago's got 8.
Really stop.
Usher's got 25. Foreigner's got 8. Maroon 5 has 16.
Oh, good. That's worth a trip to see Adam.
Rod Stewart has 13 of them.
He should stop too.
He's coming in Ottawa in August.
Stop.
I'm looking at the tickets. And Justin Bieber has 1 booked. So that's what I have for Vegas residency. And now,
no, there's a sadness to Vegas residency. Whatever happened to Frank and these guys?
And then we turn to Dr. Clark for the 2022 Rock and Roll Hall of Fame inductees.
Because this is the end of the year show, all this discuss who made it in. And I want to tell you what I won't tell you what the categories they got in on, because this is too bizarre and you'll blow the top of your head off. But these guys got in Duran, okay, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis, they're producers, Pat Benatar and her husband, Neil Girardo, and probably got that wrong. Jimmy, is it Ivan, a co-founder of Interscope Records? Okay, Elizabeth Cotton, an old blues singer. Judas Priest, I thought that was a swear word. Anyway, Sylvia Robinson, Mickey and Sylvie, right? Carly Simon, Alan Grubman, a lawyer, and also a founder of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Something going on. Harry Belafonte, he's heavy. Lionel Richie, heavier. Eurythmics, yeah, okay, kind of. Eminem, rock and roll, really. So, as you can tell, I'm a Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I've been to it twice. I don't mind it. I don't understand it. It's not really a Hall of Fame. It's just some weird dream of the founder of Rolling Stone magazine and the founder of Atlantic Records. I won't mention them by name, but that's really it. I don't put any credence in this. It's goofy. As Ray Davies of the Kinks said, do we really need a Hall of Fame? What a drag. And I know I'm behind that too. It's also kind of fun to see the stuff when you go to the museum, which is separate, legally a separate entity. But no, I put nothing. I put as much credibility into this as a daytime Oscar, as they say, old joke goes. That's where I stand.
And
Nice.
I have something here that's going to probably make Ian a little bit happier on a Canadian note.
Okay.
So it's for the Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame. And actually, Bryan Adams was finally inducted into Canadian Songwriters Hall of Fame.
How can you avoid that?
And he's got to go to Cleveland next. That's his next stop. So everyone knows that Bryan Adams was inducted into Canadian Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2006 at the Junos in good old Halifax. So that is good Canadian news there. And moving right along, I am going to talk about Metallica and how they have been resurrected due to a show on Netflix called Stranger Things, which was released in 2016. Now, Metallica, to me, they were never irrelevant. They've always been relevant since their existence or formation of 83, 86, when they around that time period when they formed. And now with this show Stranger Things, which just this last season, and I believe this season, they started introducing the Master of Puppets songs in the show. And this is fantastic because, again, it proves my point. They never really were irrelevant. They've always been around. Either you saw Lars doing something, whether it be promo, or you had James Hetfield kind of, playing a little bit to see if he wanted to do some country stuff. They were around for the last playoff run for the San Jose Sharks because they're from the Bay Area. They were performing at the arena. So to me, they've never been irrelevant. They've always been relevant. They've always been around. I am a big fan of Metallica. I love the fact that shows that cater to a younger audience are starting to use classic, I could call them classic rock because they are.
Yeah.
They're there. Use classic rock bands like Metallica for a new group of audience, a new group of listeners to finally learn to appreciate the stuff that I was fortunate to appreciate. And I think this is fantastic. They've actually even been used as orchestra music in the Netflix series Wednesday, the Wednesday Addams story, which again they were using Nothing Else Matters, but it was done in cellos and whatnot. But that's to me, I think Metallica has been nothing but relevant, and I'm happy they're still going, and I'm really happy that there is a younger audience out there. So next on the list, we have Ian and I are going to talk about the Rolling Stones and how they celebrate 60 years. And before I turn it to Ian, I'm just going to tell him that the Rolling Stones are releasing a new album on February 10th, 2023.
Shut up.
And it's called Grr Live. Like, grrr, live.
Like the gorilla. Grr.
Oh, I know what this is. Oh, no. This is horrible news.
So I'm one of the guys on the fence, on that side of the fence, that wants them to continue going and hit 75-year milestone. Ian wants them to shut it down.
I want them to go back to their caskets, which they sleep in at night, and just have them locked up. Because as a friend, it's over. It just cannot go on anymore. Years ago, by years, I say 10, 15 years ago, Keith, that's Keef, promised that when Charlie goes, I mean, that's really it. He's the beat of the drum. Yeah, well, that didn't work out, did it? Charlie croaks, and these guys, you're going to have to run electricity through them or something. They won't stop. They're going to keep going. If Keith goes, Mick will keep going and call it Rolling Stone or something. It's never going to stop. And that's their prerogative, of course. For me, I cannot face it. It's over. You know what I mean?
Ian, what do you say they give another 20 years?
Hey, don't say that, because he's in really good shape, that little monkey. He'll go forever, right? He's unstoppable. What, 60 years?
They turned 60 years this year, yes.
Is it? It's really, there's a sadness to it.
You want them to go the way of Admiral Nelson? Like, we put him in a barrel with some brandy.
And somehow, Keith is unkillable.
So,
thank you.
So now, Ian, we're going to turn to you with your Dr. Clark's 2022 Miserable Artist Award.
This was really, really easy, and I did because first of all, I wanted a half bit of actual research, so I researched it. And this is not made up. A recent study in the UK found that Liam Gallagher of Oasis is the UK's most miserable musician. If you know anything about the Gallagher brothers, the battling Gallagher brothers, and Liam in particular, he's a dreadful man. He goes out of his way to get in a fight. He's so miserable. Now, I took that as inspiration, and the guy I selected goes back into the 1960s, and whenever I think of him, I know he's talented, he did one or two great albums, but it's never with a smile on my face. He's a miserable guy, and his name, first of all, he'll never headline at a comedy club. His name is Neil Young. And again, he'll never receive endorsements from Gucci or even a cosmetic company. He's just, all his minor key songs, it's depressing stuff for the most part, and he just seems like a miserable guy. In interviews, he often has this attitude. He often has a bizarre cause, like burning, I don't know, vegetable oil to power his car or something. He's a strange guy that way, but he never seems like a happy guy. He seems chronically in some kind of low-level pain. And I'm glad he's around. There's just something about him that is appealing. I don't know what it is, but he's not a happy guy.
When you say low-level pain, didn't he have polio when he was a kid?
Yeah, he did. So Joni Mitchell. Yeah. And they're survivors that way. But Neil Young, for me, he wrote two great albums, a scattering of good songs over, 60 years?
So you're going Harvest and After the Gold Rush?
Yeah, okay. I mean, they're great albums, and there's a scattering over, for me. And he has, diehard fans. Yeah, I get that.
I mean, you're not a fan of, what was the electronic one, the Trans?
Trans? Where he remade an old Buffalo Springfield song. I just don't see it. So that's my my miserable guy award.
Neil Young, I love it. I was on the fence saying he's either going to do Clapton, Neil Young,
he's miserable,
or Paul McCartney, just because you're angry because he's just like. Oh.
Paul's not miserable. He's laughing to the bank now. He's slapping his thighs. Worth over $1 billion US.
Look, if you want to see Neil Young smiling, you just have to look at the vacation pictures with Daryl Hannah.
Shut your filthy pie hole again.
So now we're coming up to Kennedy's Rant of the Year.
Nice.
Here we go. I've had it. Ian?
Yes?
Wheels? I've had it. The city of Cleveland is really getting me aggravated, not because of the city of Cleveland. The Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Okay.
You had listed off names of people that have been inducted.
Yeah.
I did not think Harry Belafonte was so heavy enough that he needs to go in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Yeah. The Banana Boat song, right? You have an issue with Eminem.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it just because there's a category called musical excellence where they put people like Leon Russell and Ringo Starr, Billy Preston.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Ringo Starr
Ringo Starr was inducted.
Is it musical excellence?
Yeah, they put him as musical excellence, which was created in 2011. How convenient!
Yeah.
And he got inducted in 2015, so about 4 years after its infancy, of him alongside Nile Rodgers 2 years after. Billy Preston got last year, LL Cool J last year, Randy Rhoads, and your buddies this year, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis.
Or Jerry Lewis. Yeah,
Or
okay.
Jerry Lewis.
Which is a good thing.
And then they had Lady, and they also had Judas Priest. Now, mind you,
Judas Priest.
Judas Priest should have been inducted in the
Years ago,
yeah, like maybe the late 90s. So I got an issue because this used to be something known as honor and respect and your accolades and achievements for music. But I like to use this term that someone or something took a left turn at Albuquerque and put in this crap. Okay? So here's a list of 11 bands and artists
Yes.
that I want in 2023.
Okay.
And I'm not taking no for an answer.
Gee.
I'm going to take prisoners if I have to.
Okay.
I want Motley Crue in there.
Okay.
I want Bryan Adams.
Okay.
I want the Guess Who.
Yeah.
But it has to be Bachmans and Cummings. Forget those other guys. They suck. I'm happy to know that the band made it. So thank you for the gentleman on the Facebook group that gave me the link. So you're good on that one. The Smiths need to be in.
Oh, interesting. The Smiths, sure.
Alice in Chains.
Has it been 25 years? Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, they're not in
Yeah.
there. The Prince of Darkness, Ozzy Osbourne, is not in there.
Yeah, that's just kind of dumb.
George Michael, I think, needs to be in there.
Yeah, he's great.
Okay. I think Iron Maiden for what they did for metal.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'd say so.
Sonic Youth.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm a kind of 50-50 on that.
The Monkees.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll
And-
never make it. I know it.
And then they've hit now 25 years, and I don't care what people say, Nickelback. Why? Because their numbers speaks volume. You could always tell that everything they've written, they actually worked at it. It wasn't given. And people that like to hate on them, I will see you at their next concert because you're going to be there. Why? Because they put on a good show. I definitely will be there. I will buy the ticket. And I'm going to say, hail Chad Kroger all the way to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So you put these 11 in there for next year, which you only have about, a couple of hours after you listen to the show to say, hey, we just turned a Happy New Year, and put them in. This is my rant. I'm sick and tired of this garbage that doesn't belong there. Like even Dolly Parton said herself, I don't belong in this Hall of Fame. There is a Country Music Hall of Fame.
And
She's
she's
already
been in there for a
But
long
she
time.
went anyway.
But she resisted. I don't know how hard she resisted.
Yeah. No, really? So what time is it? 8 p.m. I'll be there. Come
So
on.
that's my rant, okay?
But, yeah, listen, I'm with you 100% on most of that.
So this is what I have for
Great.
New Year's Eve.
Well, it's not for
that
old
champagne.
acquaintance be forgot. We're close, ladies and gentlemen. And thank you for listening over the past year. And we're pleased with the way the show is going. You can always submit stuff to us. For those of you who have, with suggestions, it's been great. We hope we worked in your suggestions. And let the boat continue across 2023.
We just opened a champagne.
That's it. So I'm Kennedy saying Happy New Year,
Happy New Year, Dr. Ian Clark.
Wheeler.
and we'll see you next year.
Bye-bye.
Bye.